Hi, welcome to the Ambient iPad. Let's make some music. This is Jam 64. I'm going to use 3 sounds from the Mellotron M400, 8-voice choir, 3 Violins B, and 2 brass. I'm also going to use Animoog Z for a spacey pad, Arturia's iSEM, which is essentially an Oberheim synth. I'm going to use that for a sequence bass line, Pure Acid for drums, and a bunch of effects. The signal chain is the Mellotron M4000D Mini. Its master mono analog output goes into a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8 interface, which communicates back and forth with the iPad Pro through a USB-C hub that also lets me power the iPad Pro at the same time. All right, I switched from the 12.9-inch iPad Pro to the 11-inch, and I actually created a video that explains why I did that. I'll link to that below. Working in apeMatrix, got everything basically set up here, so I can add the synths, I can add the effects. I'm going to start with MixBox and my basic Mellotron settings so I can play the Mellotron sounds that I'm going to use. This just starts with the compressor on, and I can just turn all the other effects on as I need them. All right, here's 8-voice choir. So this is a combination of the M400 male choir and female choir, 3 Violins B, very similar to the Mark II violins, and may actually even be the same tapes, but there's a different EQ profile on it that makes it a lot darker. And finally, 2 brass. Let's get up there. Great classic sound. Let's go back to the strings because we'll need those violins. All right. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add all the other synths, and then we'll get back to everything as far as sampling them later. So let me get iSEM in here. And this is essentially for a bass line, and we need to change that. Definitely more delay. Volume is at a good place. I'll be using the on-screen keyboard for this, so we might as well get that going. Well, actually, because that's the only other thing there, it automatically turns it on, but as I add other things, I'll have to go back in and turn them off. Animoog Z, I use the keyboard that's part of the app because it's not the standard keyboard. It's more, touch plates, and you can pick the scale. This is actually we want an A minor. A minor. Where are we? A minor. A minor. Perfect. Okay, wrong sound. I've got my own patch here. Get rid of that. All right. Okay, we'll get back to that. Let's get Pure Acid going. Where are we here? And Pure Acid is both drums and bass, kind of like a 303 and an 808, but I am only going to use the drums, and I have a drum kit that I've put together and a patch and all that. It's called Aqua Drums. Let's go over to drums and mixer. We're good with that. Let's start adding effects. So Spacefields I'm going to use to create a nice evolving soundscape. Starfields is fine for that. I'm not going to connect that now because it's very sensitive. It'll just start going off. It creates a loop, and then the soundscape comes from that. I'm going to use K7D, my favorite tape delay from Imaginando. Haven't used that in a while. And I've got a lot of my own patches here. Let's start with that. And I do want to reverb. You know what? I haven't used the Bleass reverb. I may never have used it. So let me use that. And this is mainly going to be on the drums and the sequencer, so I don't need the mix to be very wet, like 25% or so is fine. There's a nice Hall patch in here somewhere. All right, that's set. Okay, that's the basic stuff. What I want to do first is, let me turn some of these on for the initial, the echo. You know what? Spacefields is essentially a looping reverb itself. I do not need more reverb. I don't think I need anything else here. So let me turn, that'll have to go out, that'll have to go out, and that'll have to go out. Let me connect that. MixBox into Spacefields. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking for the evolving soundscape with the 8-voice choir. And I'm just going to let that play out by itself. Maybe a little distorted because I think I had the volume up slightly, but whatever. Okay, the first thing I want to do now, though, is I want to turn that off so nothing else I do, every time you do something new, it replaces the loop that is playing. So this is a nice kind of darkish ambient thing. I figured I would use, just do some violin stuff in the background, but I really want to mangle it a bit. So let's just turn the color on, maybe jack up the phaser a little, turn on the plate reverb. Since 3 Violins B is kind of dark, what I want to do is turn the channel strip on. Even let's do the imager in reverse. So I would just do some stuff over this. You can really hear that phaser when you have the color on. So I can do some of that cool stuff in the jam. Let's go back to, or let's go to 2 brass because we'll use that next. And then I think we'll bring in the sequencer bass. Let me just make sure. See, as I added all the other synths and even some of the effects, it automatically connects it to the keyboard. We only need the keyboard for this. So let's see how this would go. So we're in A. Let's connect this to Imaginando. Where are we here? And maybe a little reverb too. That's kind of loud. Get some from the delay. Go back and forth, and then we'll go down maybe. Essentially, I want to land on G. Then let's bring the drums in. Now, I don't have the sequencer going, so nothing's syncing, and I rarely hit the drums where they come right in where they're supposed to, so I may have to turn them on and off a few times in order for it to catch. Close enough. Okay, you know what, and maybe at this point we'll So a lot of the stuff from the drum line comes out that was hidden because the soundscape was really going. This isn't exactly what I want with, you know what, I think it might be Imaginando. Didn't really make much of a difference. And then a cool thing to do is just play with the different effects. Just add in more delay. Flange. Oops. Go back. All right, let's hear what this sounds like over it. Oh, you know what? I do not want all this stuff that I was using for the strings. So we don't need that. We don't really need the plate reverb. Certainly don't need the color. Don't need that. Let me turn this down a little. Now let me see where we're at. Okay, that's good. Then I want to bring Animoog in. Okay, we need to raise the volume of that just a little. It's getting drowned out here. Let's try this. Do we have both? No, let's go for the definitely need reverb on that. Where are we here? It does get confusing. Different keyboards to worry about. Okay, I like that. Okay, that's all the sounds, all the different effects. It's kind of the basic arrangement. I'll have to figure out how to end it, probably fade some stuff out, maybe just end with the Animoog. We'll see how easy that is. All right. Let me shift the keyboard around a little and the camera for a different angle, and I'll do the jam. So even though in the last jam I started the random sound series where I just twist the knob and whatever I end up in, that's what I that's what I actually play. I use that same method when I'm just practicing or jamming around. It's like, hey, what sound can I find? And actually I was using Spacefields just to make some big ambient stuff and landed on the choir and was like, ooh, this is good. I should save this for the jam. So we'll get back to the random sound series, but that Spacefields is just such a great app because you just get this soundscape going and all these other ideas just start going in my head and I just add to it. So, but for this one, it started out with that kind of dark ambient jam, and then I did some violins over that. We brought in the sequencer for that bass line, and then the spacey pad with Animoog Z, which is also a great app. I'd love to spend some time kind of going over that, and maybe I'll do that in a future video. But as I've explained before, all you need are a few basic sounds, and depending on the effects that you use, you can get these huge expansive soundscapes. It just completely changes the way the sound goes. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and good luck with your own music.